Hello, my crafty friends. I'm going to show you the journal I made from the jelly prints that we did the last 2 Monday nights on my live stream. We did prompted mono printing, and and so with the plan in mind to put together a journal out of them, and I did use not just my jelly prints, that I made, but I also used the deli papers that I pulled off, stuff with, and I used my wipe off papers. I've got several of those in here. My roller brayer off papers. So it's a pretty big journal. This was the cardboard piece I did for my cover, but it was too small for. I would have had to cut a bunch of stuff off, and it still wouldn't have been. You wouldn't have been able to make to fit them all in there because it was just a real fine spine. So I decided to just stick it in the middle and make me another cover, and that's what I did. Inside the cover, I just tore up some old dry brayer off pages and put those down inside my cover. I used a cereal box. Oh, there's a place I missed. Oh well, looks like the sun's peeking through. I don't know if you can even see it, but it's kind of orange under there. Cheerios box. Anyway, and on the outside, I painted it, and I didn't use the jelly plate because I was in a hurry, and I just wanted to do it all at once. But I used things that I use on the jelly plate. I used my brayer to blend the bottom layer, and then I used my toy car wheels, and then I used my circles, and then I used a cork to make the dots. I don't know if you can see all those different things in there. And the gold is my this that I use on the jelly plate. So I used all the things I use on my jelly plate to make this cover, but I didn't actually use the jelly plate to make the cover because like I said, I was in a hurry. And then I splattered paint. So it was a lot of fun though. And the only thing I didn't use any stencils on it. I planned, when I first started, I planned to use this same stencil right here on it. But when I got to this point, I decided I didn't want to add any stencils. And I just did a regular 5-hole pamphlet stitch to bind it in, but it's a pretty thick signature. I just did one because I was lazy and I didn't want to put 2 in, but I'll go through and show them to you. This is the matte paper. And that's one side, and then this is the other side. I've got some pieces folded up that I'm going to make pockets, but I haven't got got them closed up to make pockets yet. This is one of the deli papers that I pulled off on, and it's also set up to make a pocket. This is a page where I took the stencil and I had brayered paint over the top of it and then pulled the stencil off, and I just laid it on here. So this way I used the stencil for a stamp on that one. And that was a brayer off page. This was our quilt on scrap paper. And then over here we did, on scrap paper, we did we did, what do you call that stuff? Bubble wrap on that side. This is another one of my deli papers that was just a pull-off paper. And then here was when I did the practice video to kind of show y'all that you could use fun foam instead of a jelly plate if you didn't have a jelly plate. Some of these are prints I made then, just a few of them, and this is one of those. It turned out really good on the I think this actually was on the plastic. And let's find the other side of it real quick while we're looking at it. And then this side, no, this was on the plastic and this was on the fun foam. So that worked pretty good. So I stuck it in here. And then my envelopes, I stuck my envelopes in here. And I left them open at the top. And then there's one from the practice that was bubble wrap on a book page. And this is where I brayered off, or that may have been another practice one, I'm not sure. This was the potato page I made for Mark just for kicks while we were in the middle of doing this. And this was one of the practice pages where it was botanical on music paper. And so that's what I used a flowers, one of these fun foam kind of flower things. This is another deli paper pull off page. And another old book page. This was the practice video, when I did that practice video to show y'all, or preview video, I don't know what you want to call it, but anyway, this was the one that was lace on the newspaper. And that's another deli pull off paper. There was my envelope from the preview one, paper bag. This was an envelope from the first night. This is another wipe off paper that I rolled off my bubble wrap onto it. And this was some of the stuff that I used on the do 3 things prompt on the practice preview page. Another deli paper, another envelope. Here's, I used this thing. It's a pool squirter thing. We did that the first Monday night on book pages. And this was where we used a pencil eraser and made dots and drew wavy lines and circles. This was another one where I just printed off the stencil onto my brayer off page. And this was use a comb. This was use a comb on music paper. And then this one was where we used a stencil and we put down a layer of paint and put the stencil down and then pulled up what came through the stencil and then put paint over the stencil. And let's find that page. This is what I pulled off of the stencil after we did this one. And this was to use the end of a paintbrush, I think, and draw on the paper. And it was a book page. And this was the circles and dots and wavy lines with a pencil eraser. There's my coffee filter, another envelope. And I used masks on this one. And this is what my masks ended up looking like. So I'll put those in here somewhere. So I just stuck them in here. I guess I could stick them in the pocket, couldn't I? Well, maybe not. I don't want to mess them up. Let's see if they'll go in there. And this is the back of it. And this was where I used the toy car and the Lego piece on book page. This is another deli paper where I pulled off the paint. This was the graph paper. And I think that was on my preview video. I went ahead and stuck those in here too because they had to do with the same thing. This was my bag from last night. This is the work on newspaper, and it said to use net or sequin waste or something like that on that one. And this was the other side of it that we did last week, where we did I think 3 things from your toy box. I'm not positive, but I had a circle thing and then this thing and 2 different sizes of circles. This was a ghost print from the leftover paint from that one. In this one, I used my sink mat to do the back of that. Brayer off page. This one turned out really cool. I don't know how good you can see it, how cool it is, because there's metallic paint on it and it doesn't want to show. But this was a pull up with white paint after I did that this on the music paper. Let me see if I can show you the, well, where is that? Well, I don't guess you can see it, but the music paper had words and stuff on it, and well, where is it? Anyway, it left those impressions. Sorry, I'm having to go back and forth here. Well, it left the impressions of those words and everything on the jelly plate, and then that pulled up on here. And this is kind of like, it's the same principle. Where did I put those? We did not, a while back, I did some of these where you pull prints from the music, from the magazine pages. And these are not the prints I pulled, they're the actual magazine pages that I just set aside. But anyway, you've probably seen that. But I really thought that turned out good. And I just made some pockets and tuck spot over here. And I may take this part out. I don't know what I'm going to do. For now, I just folded up and stuck it in here. And this was the used parchment paper. And I think this was on the preview video. And here's another wipe off page. Here's another jelly print, pull off. And then this was on music paper, and I used different flip-flops. And then this was my cardboard one with a stencil, and I just put a wipe off page inside of it. And these are the tags. We did some tags, and I just stuck those in here for right now. And then the other side of all of those, you can see the words, I think, a little bit better that it pulled up on this one. I think this is probably my favorite thing out of the whole thing, and it was just cleaning off my jelly plate. So here's the, you know, the other side to all the things I've already shown you. But this turned into a substantial book. And you can see that was printing off over that wipe off page. Another pocket. I mean envelope. A paper bag. This one was when I was showing on the fun foam and the plastic sheet. And this was the plastic sheet, and it looks pretty, but it didn't do, it didn't pull off the print. Let me find the opposite side so you can see. Well, almost there, I think. Here it is. And this is where it stuck to my jelly plate and just pulled the paper right off onto the jelly plate. So when you're working with these old book pages, you need to be careful about letting it stay on there too long. There's another, there's some more jelly paper. And these are, like I said, just the back side of what you've already seen on the other side, but it wouldn't be a complete flip through if I didn't show it all to you, so. And then there's my cover. So those of you who played along, be sure to make a video or post pictures or whatever of your journal when you get it made. I'd love to see it. I'm going to let you go. God bless you. Bye-bye.